Welcome once again in the water resource meeting. Today we are going to see waterlogging and salination. I am Mr. Sisogule, Assistant Professor, Civil Engineering Department. Waterlogging and its control. Waterlogging is a natural flooding and over-irrigation that brings water at underground level to the surface, and consequence displacement of air occur in the soil with the corresponding changes in the soil process and accumulation of toxic substances to impede the plant growth. The actual depth of the water table, when it starts affecting the yield of the crop adversely, may vary over a wide range from 0 to 0 for rice to about 1.5 meter for other crops. So it depends on the height of capillary fringe and types of crops. So here you can see in the table there are different number of crops and require the water table has been given over here, that how much crop it needs and what should be the depth of water table should be there in meters. So what are the effects of waterlogging? So basically first the absence of the aeration in soil in the root zone of the plants, then difficulty in cultivation operations, growth of water weeds and wild aquatic plants, rise of salts in surface layer. As you might have seen at so many places, uh, there is a rise of salt. So in local language we are calling it as a meat footle. Then restricted root growth. Basically roots are going for the taking the minerals and water from the soil, but as water is available at very slow depth, so it is growth has been restricted. And then obviously with the water the lower soil temperatures are there, and because of the present of moisture, that is due to excess water, so many plant diseases like fungus etc will be there. As by explaining in difficulty in cultivation process, so or operations, when the water has been or standing in the particular uh, field, we cannot do the cultivation operations easily. So it is always difficult to uh, do the operation in such kind of places. So all these difficulties are there, or effects are there by waterlogging. So in this picture also you can see how the water is standing in the particular field. So it is the common phenomena in our region. uh, in rainy season, at so many places the water has been standing in the fields. So these problems are there for the particular these kind of conditions. Now, what are the causes of water logging? So first is the inadequate surface drainage. You might have seen at so many places the water has been stored due to increase in the level of the road near the field. So obviously there will not be any drainage or cross drainage work to pass that water. So obviously that water will stand in the particular fields, and this is the main problem in the rainy season, or we observe this kind of problem in the rainy season in our area. Then seepage from canal system. So at so many places where canal is there, so due to the seepage, if the canal is at quite higher level, so obviously the water will stand in nearby fields. So that is again another problem. Then over irrigation of the fields. In our area also this thing has been observed so much times, because in our area, that is in western Maharashtra, we are preferring the crops like sugarcane, and it requires so much water, but there will not be any control on the irrigation because we used old traditional methods for the irrigation. So always there is a problem of the over irrigation, and it leads to the waterlogging. Then impermeable clay layer below the soil. If the proper drainage is not available due to this impermeable clay layer, so obviously water will uh, stand in the field, and obviously it will lead to the waterlogging. In construction of water reservoir, again, like the canal system, if the water reservoir has been constructed, so nearby farms can face this waterlogging problem and natural obstruction to the flow of the groundwater. Obviously, as in case of the surface drainage or the uh, if some obstruction is there, that water flow of water get obstructed, and obviously because of the storage of the water on the upstream side of that obstruction, obviously there will be a waterlogging. Now, what are the effect of waterlogging? So it is inhabiting activities of soil bacteria. So obviously it affect those are the bacteria present in the soil. You might have heard the azotobacters and ribosomes, or so many kind of bacteria there who help to uh, grow the plant by giving them the required uh, food from the soil. That is azotobacter and ribosomes are there. So again, second is the decrease in availability of capillary water. So obviously the plant used to suck the water from the soil, and because of which it the roots goes deeper and it gives the stability to the plant. But in case of this waterlogging, uh, obviously water is on the surface, so there will not, or there will be a decrease in availability of this capillary water. And obviously due to this less soil temperature, uh, some actions or plant will be in the low temperature, or plant roots in the low temperature, so that also affects the uh, plant's life and fertility of this particular, or the yield we are getting from the that plant. Then effective air circulation, obviously when the soil is covered with the water, or water is standing above the soil, there will not be any air circulation which is necessary for the, again, for the plant growth and for the roots. So obviously there is a no air circulation. Then rise of salt, this phenomena we have observed so many times. In local language it is called as a मीठ फुटलंय असं म्हणतात. So we can see the white salts which are accumulated on the soil surface. Then delay in cultivation operation, as we have discussed, there is a difficulty in the cultivation to carry the cultivation operations. So obviously there will be a delay. Then growth of flora, that is unwanted plant species. So because of that standing water, the plants which can sustain these kind of conditions will grow in that particular area. uh, and we have seen so many plants are there, like so many types of grass and alu. I don't know the exact name, but it is in local language it is called as alu. So these kind of plant will grow and at this area. Then again it will cause adverse effect on the community health, obviously because of this stored water or this extra water which is standing on the ground. There will be a chances of development of mosquito colonies will be developed, so obviously it will affect on the community health. And again there is a less availability of the oxygen because of the less growth of the plants. Then what are the measures to control the waterlogging? The first is to provide efficient surface drainage. So obviously, if we provide a efficient surface drainage which does not allow to water to stand, so obviously there will not be any water logging. Then reducing the percolation, that is slow passage of a liquid through the filtering medium from canals. So obviously, if you provide a good kind of lining for the canal, so obviously there will not be any problem of this percolation from the canals. So obviously we can avoid all these things. Then next, restriction of unwanted irrigation. So obviously we have to skip the old methods in which we used to flow the water, and obviously there will be a formation of the stagnant pools or storage of water. So obviously we need to avoid these kind of irrigations. Then adoption of sprinkler method for irrigation. Actually drip or sprinkler we can adopt for the irrigation, so that there will not be loss of water and no excess water will be given to the plants, and better control will be there for these kind of methods. Then removing obstruction in the natural drainage. So obviously sometime due to some weathering actions, obviously there will be obstruction for the natural drainage. So we need to remove these obstructions time to time and allow water to flow, not to store at some parts, so that there will not be water logging inside by areas. Prevention of water logging. So again, the same thing is there: reducing the percolation from irrigation channels, reducing the percolation from the water courses and fields, encouraging the economical use of water by using the effective methods for the irrigation, then increasing the outflow from the ground water reservoir. So obviously we need to increase the outflow, that water will not be gets percolated from the particular area and affect the side by land. Then reducing the percolation from the irrigation channels, that is by lining the channels so that water will not be percolated from the channel. Then lowering of full supply level of irrigation channels. So if we lower the full supply level, obviously there will not be any pressure on from uh, the top water from the to the water is flowing from bottom, and obviously there will not be any or so much percolation will be there. Then providing the intercepted drains among the channels. Next is changing the crop pattern, and last is the changing the revenue policy. So obviously if we charge more for the water, obviously there will be a economical use of water and there will not be any problem of this water logging. Now what is salinity? So if the concentration of harmful salt in the root zone of the plant increases to such extent that plant growth is affected, it is called as a salinity. What are the causes of the salinity? The factor contributing toward the problem of salinity are almost same as the water logging. What we have discussed. If water stands, obviously there will be a problem of salting, and due to this, the salinity will occur. So every agricultural soil has certain mineral salts in it, like NaCl, Na2CO3, or Na2SO4, etc. That is sodium chloride, sodium tricarbonate, and sodium sulfate. So these minerals are present in the agricultural soil. Obviously what will happen if water used to stand in the particular field, this mineral will tend to rise with the water level and that can accumulate it on the ground. So this will leads to the salinity. What are the measures to control the salinity? So basically again the controlled irrigation will be there. So we have to control, or effective use of water will be there. Then providing adequate surface drainage. So if water will not stand, the salinity will not take place. allowing the lower intensity of the irrigation, then reducing the surface evaporation. Obviously, when the water stands, if this water is will not flow and it evaporates with the uh, or the evaporation will take place, obviously there will be a problem of this salting problem will be there. Then not using the alkaline water for the irrigation purpose. So obviously all the minerals we have seen, those are basically alkaline in nature. So obviously we have to avoid this alkaline water from the irrigation purpose. The possible causes for salt affected soils could be poor drainage, saline or sodic subsoil exposure due to erosion, parent soil material, use of high salt irrigation water. Basically, in case of boring, this phenomena will be there. Long term use of some fertilizers, low rainfall, or oil field activity. So, these are the reasons for the salinity. Then, following techniques or events can help to reclaim the saline soils. So, salt can be leached out of the root zone through good quality irrigation water or with heavy rain or by heavy rainfall. So leaching is the technique by using which we can move out this salt from the root zone. Then create good surface and internal drainage. Use of tile drains, then open ditches in the field can increase the drainage and remove some of the salts. Then break the compacted layer that occur near or at the soil surface. Add organic matter such as rotted hay, feedlot manner at 10-15 tons per acre to improve the soil fertility. Basically, they are focusing towards the uh, natural or composting methods of the agriculture. Then there are some additional considerations in the reclamation of sodic or saline sodic soils. Reclamation of sodic soil, similar to the saline soil, is leaching the salt out of the root zone, except that the gypsum should be added to remove the sodium. The amount of gypsum required is depend on the soil texture and ESP. The reclamation of these salt affected soils is very difficult thing and can take several years, so be patient. Sandy soils in higher rainfall region can be reclaimed more easily than clay soils if rainfall is only source of the reclamation. So this is all about waterlogging and salinity and their remedial or clauses. So thank you for the today's lecture.